Hey, it's the God Awful Gospel Hour, and today we have Jack Schutze.
God awful. God awful. God awful.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Do you have that thing on your computer that says the weather on the bottom? You know, with the degrees and everything?
The weather,
Like
Like
at
the
the
weather widget on your phone?
Yeah, on the bottom right where it says the news and everything on Windows.
it's like in the background on mine.
So today it said fire weather. Just with a picture of fire. I was like, yes,
How
correct.
miserable.
It's
that every
fire
day in Texas?
outside. The world is on fire. So you're do you really do Uber or is that a character?
No, I 100% drive Uber now.
Okay.
Pretty much all day. I drove today as well.
How's it going? You got any crazy nightmare Uber stories?
You know, I don't, not yet, but I did think I was going to get murdered the other day. I've been picking up a guy and dropping him off at his car, which is broken down in the back of a cemetery.
Nice.
And like, he initially told me a story about how he was working there, and that's why his car's parked back there. But then if you look around the car, there's no like work to be
Okay.
had. But I'm alive. I made it. I made it here.
Yeah, you're a
He had to
large.
drop a guy off at the cemetery. That's a pretty good Uber story, or a pretty good Uber. That's a good ride, I guess.
Everybody has all
Good
the
gig.
I mean, do you keep a camera going or like recording anything just in case?
I need to start doing that. I don't. I actually do comedy while I'm driving. I have a little
Yeah.
sign that says like, "Hey, if you want to tip me, I'll like do comedy." So like
Oh,
half
nice.
the time I just like run my act through random people, and half the time they're incredibly offended, and the other half the time they tip me like $5-10.
I do that at my therapist, but I pay him $15.
It's the opposite direction.
Yeah, that's because the Squiggle Vision did it to me. Remember that show?
Yeah.
What was that? Remember that old comedy therapy show? It was on Comedy Central with the.
Dr. Katz?
Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Katz.
I
yeah.
grew up watching that, and I was like, apparently you're just supposed to try your jokes on these people and see if they work. Mine's a 70-year-old guy, so if he thinks it's funny, it's probably pretty good. Is the Bluetooth earpiece a prop, or do you really use that?
So I use that I'm usually listening to a podcast while I'm driving.
Okay.
And then I just keep it on like Bob FM or like the most generic music I can possibly keep it on.
The Bob. My buddy was here, Medlock, for South by.
Yeah.
He got too drunk in the middle of the night and had to pee, and we could not find anywhere to pee, and we were staggering around. I just wanted to look at, like, I hadn't been downtown since all the comedy shit popped off, so I wanted to see where all these places were. I wanted to see what was going on at the mothership. So I had another agenda besides him peeing. I was like, you can pee anywhere. It's the world. But he's too civilized. He's from D.C. with me, and he was looking for a restroom where they would welcome him with gilded truffles. And he just kept getting drunker and having to pee more. And we went down to the Waller Creek, and I was like, you can pee under the bridge. And he was like, oh, sweet. I have to pee like a baby.
Oh my God.
That was the quote of the trip. Every time I'd see him since then, I'm like, you have to pee like a baby?
Well, that's like a big city thing. I mean, London is like the epitome of it, but like you can't just step in a side street in London and pee.
No.
Because it's like cops will be on you before you're done.
You
Like,
can't spit. I spit on the ground in England, and a Bobby came after me. He was like, you've gobbed on the Queen's soil.
You
was
can't
like-
go on the Queen's soil.
Yeah. Like, you guys... You got Packies here openly defecating, and I can't spit.
Oi. Yeah. Oi, mate.
The Queen's soil. You've soiled the Queen's soil. So do you do any other gig economy shit? DoorDash or anything like that?
I guess not really. I mean, I just started Uber kind of just to see what it was like initially. And if you're smart about it and take the right rides, you can make a decent amount of money. But if you're not smart about it, you'll drive all over town and make $10 an hour and just destroy your car. So
Yeah,
it's a
wear and
lot
tear.
of declining rides and racial profiling and all those things.
See if you can Uber with a Lime scooter and be like, hop on. This is free for me. Writing the whole thing off.
Get on my radio flare wagon that I'm dragging behind me.
Have you seen drunk white girls falling all around on those things downtown? They eat shit so fast as soon as they, oh my God.
Well, the new ones are dangerous. I don't know if you've gotten on the new ones and like gone full blast. You're hitting like 25 miles an hour.
Yeah, you fall with that, you're breaking something, right?
No, I'm a skateboarder. I won't rollerblade or ride a razor scooter either. If I could get one of those one wheels, I'd rent that.
It's against the ethos. Yep.
Yeah. My Reddit feed got full of like DoorDash nightmare stories for a while there. Whenever the whole controversy happened and everybody quit Reddit and the whole feed got weird and it became like rate my dress or whatever stuff popping up all the time. And you said you have to prune it, so I started pruning it. Every time I got rid of something worse would pop up. It was like I got rid of public freakouts, and some girl said, "Am I hot or not?" popped up. And then for a while, it was DoorDash people like getting texts from DoorDashers saying, "Can you tip me $2 more? There's no gas in my tank. I need to go." It was like people begging.
That is the one thing about DoorDash that is like a big flaw in their app. Is like it tells them immediately. The other ones, there's like an hour delay.
Yeah.
But it's like the idea of you tipping someone and then like them knowing exactly what you tip. I guess it's like pizza delivery driver. They know what you tip because
Yeah,
they're
well,
there.
give them a $5 bill back in the day. I guess with the app, if there's enough of a delay, then that gives you some cover or whatever. If you're a cheap tipper, right?
Yeah, but they have your contact info
Yeah.
and they know where you live, so then now they're asking you for money.
So there is a delay on the driving apps.
For Uber specifically,
Okay,
if you drop something off, it'll be like, here's what your delivery rate was. You won't see the tip for an hour.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is probably pretty smart. And well, you were talking about the Reddit feed. I didn't know that was universal. I thought my Reddit feed had just gotten corrupted, but
Yeah.
it's been feeding me that same thing where it's like hot or not, or like where did this even come from? And then you're constantly, even if you say like not interested, it still comes back it still comes back at you.
I thought the ads were based on what you've been saying out loud, but then I started getting those ads for the bent dick with the carrot. I'm like, I don't have a bent penis.
Sure you
Stop
don't. Sure.
I'm
you
not
don't.
Sending me
saying anything.
ads with this carrot. I'm not trying to fuck girls around the corner. Leave me alone. So have you had any dangerous day jobs where like there's OSHA violations and you almost got killed?
I mean,
Besides the cemetery guy?
I was a kitchen manager for most of my life, so every single day was just like
With sharps.
Yeah, knives, watching people get chopped, watching people get
Can you watch The Bear without getting triggered?
I don't watch The Bear because I lived it, and
Yeah.
so it's not entertaining to me. Like
Yeah.
but the craziest shit about working in a kitchen is like watching someone cut themselves, but then knowing they're high, so they're like they just wrap it instead of like a normal job. Like, oh, I hurt myself. They're like, no, I don't want to get fired, so just like fucking tape and super glue, and we're good to go.
Yeah, I had a friend who I had a friend get fired from the Dairy Queen in Kyle because he cut himself, and it got reported, and then you have to go get a drug test.
Yeah.
So they can decide whether they're going to pay your workman's comp or not. And of course, he'd been smoking. This was 15 years ago. He'd been smoking weed, so he got fired from the Dairy Queen. Yeah.
I got fired from a sign manufacturing facility here in town, one of the larger U.S. known ones, for breaking the seal on the eye wash station because I got ink in my eye. Like you have to pour the ink into these things, and you're supposed to put goggles on, and it's like a milk jug in this big thing, and I poured it in there, and it went bloop, and sent a piece of like a droplet of ink.
So you
back.
got fired for using the equipment the way it was supposed
Yeah,
to be used?
because the insurance people come by and check if the seal's been broken on the eye wash station, and your premiums go up if it's been used.
Oh, God.
So I put them in jeopardy by being a safe guy.
This is like a Department of Labor violation
Should've
situation.
Should
Yeah.
have just let the ink go into my brain.
Could be like one of those guys who gets an eyeball tattoo.
So you grew up in San Marcos? Or Wimberley?
I had divorced parents. I lived in Austin, and then my mom moved from Wimberley, and every time I get in trouble, I just like switch houses
Okay,
for
sweet.
a while. So Austin, kind of both. I do love. It's odd being from Austin right now because no one's from here anymore.
Yeah.
And so, like, especially trying to do comedy, I was like, I'll bring in a bit about like going to school in Texas, and you just get glazed over looks.
Yeah.
But then I go like, 20 miles in each direction, and to the people, Texas people, and they love it.
Yeah, I can't do my La Zona Rosa jokes anymore. Nobody knows what the hell that is
Oh,
now.
I miss Lozano Rosa.
Yeah, what's the La Zona Rosa? Do you have a favorite restaurant that when you're growing up that's gone now, that if you could time travel, you would stop by?
Chez Nu on 6th Street.
Yeah, I remember that
The
place.
French
Yeah,
place. That
remember
used
it.
to be a killer date spot. They
Yeah.
were super consistent, always delicious, and very old school owners, where they'd come out and make sure you're taken care of. And I feel like that whole vibe is just
Yeah.
gone completely.
When were you born?
87,
What was your birthday?
January 20th.
Okay, so that's
What's
easy.
your social security number?
What is your
Your
favorite?
inauguration day birthday.
Yeah.
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 So, did you say January 90 what now?
87.
January,
Every 4 years, I get a little present where it's like
Yeah.
fucking president's just destroying my birthday.
Right.
So when you were born, the big hits were "Open Your Heart," Madonna, Cyndi Lauper, "Control," Janet Jackson. These are the number one hits when you were born. But that's not what's important. What's important is 12 minus 9 is 3. March 86.
Doing wizard math?
That's when your parents fucked.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we want to know what they were banging to.
I have a theory on this one. So, I have 3 brothers, and 2 out of 3 of them, we were all born within a week calendar-wise. Yes, different year, of course.
Yeah, right.
But my theory was that my dad worked in the car business, and that must have been 9 months before must have been bonus time.
Yeah,
Like the annual
yeah.
bonus.
Hell yeah.
Gets the fat bonus, stiffs the mom.
Yeah.
Welcome to the world, Jack.
Yeah.
Okay, so you think they were fucking to Amadeus, Amadeus,
Nope, nope.
or Sarah, Starship, Sarah.
Sarah. Yeah.
These Dreams, Heart is a good year for love,
Yeah.
Get Nasty ballads. Kyrie, Mr. How Will I Know, Whitney Houston. It was a good year. Mine was Afternoon Delight. It was 9 months before I was born.
Oh, well, they
Yeah.
probably had
Skyrockets.
quadruplets, right? Like fucking.
Did we ever figure yours out?
Say March, February, January, December. It's hard to do months backwards. August.
Time Cop.
June, maybe? June of 81? What was going on in June of 81?
June 81 Billboard. Sukiyaki, Taste of Honey. Ray Parker. George Harrison. The one you love, Air Supply. I'm not familiar with any of these.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, John Oates. Hall & Oates.
You make
dream.
my dreams come. Or Jesse's Girl. I wish that I had Jesse's
It's funny.
Girl. Yeah, maybe.
When I was born, it was Rich Girl. Bitch Girl. It's a bitch girl. So you were raised religious?
We went to church, but kind of casually.
Okay.
I was mostly raised by a single mother, so by Sunday, if she had the energy to take us to church, we go. We used to go
Okay.
to Riverbend out on 360.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one.
But I'm a big fan of the teachings of Jesus, but not necessarily what
fan
organized
club,
religion
right.
has done with it.
Yeah, I didn't like people telling me to get on my knees in front of this dude in a robe and tell him how much I loved him over and over again. Seemed kind of gay. Well, you just did that thing about having a stiffy for Jesus.
Just for Jesus. Yeah, I don't know. So I kind of started the whole driven by God after watching the docuseries about the Duggars.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've talked to like multiple people who just watched that series.
And initially I was like, I want to do something that's like self-effacing and just kind of talking shit about Christianity, but in like a knowledgeable way from someone that was raised a Christian.
Yeah.
And the more I'd seen a few other people doing that very directly, and I was like, no, I want this to also be funny,
Yeah.
but ride the line to where like, if you were a hardcore Christian and you tuned into my channel, you might think it's real.
Get trapped into
You're
listening
right.
to the whole thing, like the Gemstones.
Yeah, so like half of them are very guarded and serious, and then the other half are just completely over the top.
Are you writing those, or are you just going off your head?
I usually like write like one or two little rhymes that I throw in there,
Okay, nice.
and then just start it. But I'd lived a very short time in Tyler, Texas,
Yep.
and so like I I hung out with those people, and I was like, I love that just East Texas, just sweet old draw. So I just kind of do that, and people initially accused me of, they're like, oh, that's like a gay voice, and I was like, no. Go to East Texas.
I'm just being polite.
Yeah, meet some closeted guy that loves Christianity, and he sounds just like this.
Yeah.
And I was just
Shirt that
kinda-
looks like a picnic table.
I'm just a music minister. That's what I am. I play music for the Lord. Yeah.
That's the Holy Ghost. I was raised very, very religious, and we had a guy in my church that was on the leadership board that kind of screwed my family out of some stuff that we'd invested in and a lot of time and energy. And his son ended up being a PGA Golf Tour champion a couple years ago. He won second place on the PGA Tour, and they interviewed him, and they said, what do you have to say for yourself? You got second place? And he was like, can everybody please help me find my father? He's disappeared. This guy from one of the elders from my church, he was a real hardcore. He was the guy that found John Bobbitt's penis in the bag on the side of the road.
He was literally that guy.
Yeah, he's a Manassas police guy. So he disappeared. He took off from Virginia and drove east here towards me. I was like, why is this guy coming towards me? He was being tracked. They found him in Texarkana. The police found him sleeping in his Ford Ranger. And he was like, I just went for a drive. I don't know what the big deal is. And he was the ex-cop, so they were like, oh, hey, we're cops. You're a cop. It's fine. You're fine. And he didn't make it home. He killed himself. But it was during the Ashley Madison hack. So weird timing there. He may have gotten caught messing about and just run off to go kill himself somewhere.
I just got to say, whenever you were talking about the church and you said, fuck my family, I wasn't expecting financially to follow that.
Fuck my whole family.
It's like one way or the other.
Yeah.
So you said Manassas. I'm not gonna say where we're recording on, or
But there
exactly what
may or
street.
may not be a street nearby called Manassas.
Yeah, all the streets around here are named after Northern Virginia towns.
Have y'all covered that already on this thing?
Herndon. Yeah, I think we talked about it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Harper's
like,
Ferry.
this is the theme of this this neighborhood is all Civil War, right? It's all Civil War battles, right? So we got Seminary Ridge, Manassas, Shiloh, all those. Yeah.
So I lived,
Racism Avenue is over there.
I lived right like 150 yards away from here with my wife, and
You
she's
lived on
so
Slave
much,
Street.
she's so much smarter than me, and she was like, "Oh, we need to start like a group. I want to meet some of the neighbors, and we'll like play games or stuff."
Yeah.
And she's like, "But we need a fun name. How about we name it Gettysburg Clan?" I was just like, "No, I don't think that's a great idea. I think anything else besides Clan and Gettysburg together would go great."
So I went to Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia, Jerry Falwell School.
I'm sorry.
They give out scholarships to anybody with a pulse, but we didn't know that in church. We thought we were special. You get a letter in the mail that says you get a full ride. You're like, oh, I must be such a good student. They noticed me. No, they just mass blast these mails.
I want your money.
Yeah, and then they get their money back by fining you for holding hands or dancing or whatever. You know, I had to pay them $200 to get my transcript so I could get my current job now. Like years later, decades later, they were still
charging for
Yeah.
transcripts.
Yeah. But Lynchburg, Virginia is in a kind of county area with two other cities. My other friends went to Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, and then I think UVA is in Christiansburg. So they just put a burg on the end of these three towns on the map, where in the olden days, if you look at the map, it said Christians lynch blacks.
Oh, Jesus.
It's like Vidar, Texas. There's a big warning sign, like, don't take a wide berth.
Don't be caught outside if your skin's a little
Yeah.
dark. You know.
Don't let the sun go down.
My wife's family's from Virginia, and we took a trip there recently.
Hell yeah.
And, we went to Charlottesville, and there's this place called Sam's Hot Dog Stand, and every single person preparing for the trip, and then while we were there, they were all like, and I'll say this allegedly, since this could be potentially, but every single person was like, "Don't go there. Sam is a pedophile," and I was just like, "Wait, you all know this? Like, did he get caught or something?" And no one
Likes
could tell
those-
me what, but it was just like a consistent story. Like, don't go to Sam's Hot Dog Stand.
Specializing in baby wieners. Finger lingling good.
They took down the statues, but they couldn't get rid of the pedophile at the hot dog stand.
Priorities.
Right.
Yeah, my church growing up was a non-denominational Baptist, which is like supposed to be non-denominational, but it was Baptist.
Were they the New Baptists or the Old Baptists?
I mean, they called themselves non-denominational, and it was mostly Presbyterian, but they had a lot of Baptist views. They wouldn't let us go see Back to the Future 2 because of the degradation of the fabric of society and the mockery of the father figure and all this shit. And I was like, it was 1986. I was 9 years old. I was like, the goddamn wheels turned sideways and the fucking thing went into the sky. I don't think I want to go to church anymore is what's happening.
Church or Back to the Future 2? I'm picking Back to the Future Part 2.
He still never went back
Yeah.
to any of the future. Now they're going to the future. I want to see the fucking future.
They told me that that Roseanne and The Simpsons were bad because the kids had bad attitudes and they mocked the fathers.
Yeah. Because before that was Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah, leave it to me.
Father
You
was
had to all be
smart.
Wally Cleaver, the
Yeah.
father knows best type situation.
But that's comedy. Take an existing archetype and turn it on its head, and that's
Yeah.
funny.
What was their stance on Back to the Future 3?
3, I was allowed to go see. I missed 2. We got to go see 3 because it was a wholesome Western. So it was fine.
It's about the good old days.
And there was no dumb dads in it.
yeah,
Well, Marty McFly's dad was dumb, but he was wholesome.
yeah.
He was a
He was a
Christian
good guy. He was a
God-lover.
nerd.
It was great.
Get your damn hands off.
Did you go?
her.
Did anybody here go to the Barbie movie yet? Did you go to the Barbie?
I haven't been to the Barbie.
I have been to the Barbie.
You have?
Yeah.
Oh, we can talk to you about it because I haven't been yet. I have questions.
But I can lay him out.
Yeah.
Is it anti-male? Did you feel attacked?
It is very anti-male, but in a hilarious way.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
That's
if
fun.
you're self-effacing and
It didn't tear at the fabric
You don't
of
take
society.
yourself too seriously.
yeah,
You can be like, hey, that's funny. Yeah.
Well, a way I framed it to someone that was asking, because I threw it out in the last mic I go to, and everyone was like, "Oh, you see Bar?" Or I asked them if they've seen it, and everyone was like, "No, I wouldn't go see that." And I was just like, think about how many movies of like the early 2000s just shit on women, like Wedding Crashers, or just like all these movies where they're just like, women are dumb, they're emotional, they're blah. So it's like,
And
if you could go to
documentaries.
a movie and enjoy that and not be like, this is just shitting on women, like. If anything, the Barbie movie, it ends in a positive message. It's pro women, but fucking not Ryan Reynolds. What is his name? What is it? Ryan Gosling.
So apparently
Fucking-
Ryan Gosling steals the movie.
Yeah.
Ken is
Fucking
the absolute
hilarious.
best part of the movie.
Yes.
And he's awesome. And so I watch a lot of commentary, you know. So the first thing that comes out about it is number one, oh, this is an amazing feminist movie, and the other side is this movie is anti-male and it's man-hating. But then after that wave went through, all the kind of the people got a little bit deeper into the analysis to where now the troll position is no, this movie is about an oppressed hero, and that oppressed hero is Ken.
Yeah.
And he is thwarted by the evil matriarchy. And then there's, so he gets more and more complex as far as like the criticism of it goes. So that's made me even more interested in like seeing the movie and hearing people's takes on the movie. It's really awesome.
Were you reading this on 4chan or
I was reading
8chan?
it.
The dark web.
Ben Shapiro is my hero. And I love how he just breaks things down to where I can understand them.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I
I
made the
think-
mistake of criticizing Ben Shapiro. Well, I'm not criticizing, but I was talking about how he's peak male Christian, and someone pointed out he's Jewish, and it didn't even occur to me. Like I just
Yeah.
like, oh, I guess I probably should have thought that one through a little better.
I mean, he literally wears a yarmulke, but all of his positions are identical to the conservative, waspy Protestant males. So, what's the difference?
The self-loathing Jew thing is annoying because then no one else is. It's like the N-word. No one else is allowed to say that they suck
Yeah, right.
or that they're cheap or annoying or anything. They all say it about each other all the time.
Yeah.
I'm an eighth Jewish, so I've experienced a lot of this stuff. And it's like, Jews shit on each other all day, but you can't say anything. It's like I'm the only one that's allowed to pick on my little brother. No one else is allowed to punch him.
What I
Right.
think was weak sauce is that he burned a Barbie, and
He literally bought Barbies to burn them.
Yeah.
It's like Kid Rock shooting the Bud Light cans that he bought.
It's like
you
the
know, with
Righteous
his shotgun.
Gemstones, slut busters.
Yes. Hey, you watch the Righteous Gemstones?
yes.
So whenever
buy
they
up
go
all
and they
the
buy out all the porn shops to burn all of the smut, it's like, well,
Yeah.
you're literally, just keeping them in business.
Or the Bud Light thing.
Have y'all heard the conspiracy about the Kid Rock Bud Light video?
Don't think so.
So supposedly there's a second shooter, and I know this sounds so fucking dumb.
A second shooter in the Bud Light video.
But
You guys wanna
Are we
take
going
a-
all JFK
he was worried
it?
about like it looking cool enough. So supposedly there's someone shooting from the side to like get the extra explosion.
Let's take a break. Derek's here.
We're taking a break real quick.
I've been going to the Smoke and Chill over there because they have Delta 9 gummies that hit different.
Just hits different.
I feel like maybe they might be cheating and putting actual stuff in there.
I have a theory that especially the ones that come from legal states, they're just like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Oh, it's from hemp. Oh, but we
Yeah.
just happen to have all this regular Delta 9 cannabis stuff on hand.
I've
God, I
done
hope so.
Folgers taste test with Cali gummies next to Colorado gummies next to Delta 8
Yeah.
Texas gummies, and the Texas legal whatever Delta 8 stuff is the most noticeable.
Do y'all's parents are they on the weed train?
My parents are in Amsterdam a lot. They live in France, and they go all over the place. I'm like, why don't you sample this local? You know, everywhere
over
else
there,
you go
they're
to
not doing
France,
it?
you have a glass of wine. You go to Scotland, you have some scotch. In Amsterdam, have some weed. My mom's like, I just don't want to lose control. I don't like to be out of control. You're drinking wine. Weed is fine. You'll be fine. You're not going to lose control and fall into canals or whatever.
My mom busted all of my brother's balls so hard for smoking weed, and then she's staying over in France right now, and she had me bag up and repackage a bunch of gummies
Nice.
to take over there. And then when we
Booty
got over
bears.
there, she handed me. She goes to some club in Barcelona where it's like you just sign, private club. She handed me like 4 different baggies of weed to distribute through my family when we went to France. And I was like, Mom, I think you just made me a drug mule. And she basically just called me a pussy.
Being a little
What the
bitch.
fuck, Mom?
So speaking of Amsterdam, my in-laws have been complimenting me recently. Oh, you're such a good dad and all this. It's nice. Whatever. I don't want to humble brag. I thought I was a shitty dad, but they're like, you're so good. And I'm like, yeah, I deserve to do something bad. I've been saving up karma. I want to go to Amsterdam. Last time I did anything bad that I remember was Amsterdam.
Yeah, like past a certain point.
Yeah.
Last time you crossed the line
I don't
was
have
in
time
Amsterdam.
to do anything wrong. I don't need to be saved because I don't sin. Like, I'm too busy. Like, nothing.
I mean, I have to ask, Amsterdam for the weed or Amsterdam for the legal prostitution?
It was shrooms, acid. I was seeing.
It was the hard stuff.
Dinosaurs everywhere. I ended up homeless in Rotterdam because I fucked up my UberHelp pass and got kicked off the train. I did wrong things to myself by being too high and forgetting to get the stamp. No ticky.
So you were the prostitute to pay
Yeah.
for your way home.
I had to slut my way
That's
back.
how you got back on the Euro rail.
Slut my way into the hostel somehow. But apparently, you can have a lot more fun in Amsterdam now. You can eat bananas out of Lizzo's ass and do all kind of cool stuff. So maybe I'll go back and do whatever weird banana stuff they were doing.
I
over
feel
there.
really bad. So I saw Lizzo when she came to Austin, and it was one of the best shows ever. So whatever she's doing to those dancers, just keep it going because it was fantastic.
I think that might be the official position of the God Awful Gospel Hours. We are pro Lizzo.
Hell yeah.
Those dancers are lying and they're just looking for money.
Yeah.
I think she's stunning and brave, and she's incredibly talented, and she's really funny too. You've seen her thing on the Eric Andre show where she's running around in a spandex suit and just interviewing people on the street like with crazy manic energy.
So when you say spandex, are you saying a supported spandex suit or just letting it all?
Kind of letting it all, like Green Man, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia,
Yeah.
that whole thing, except her face is exposed. But I'm Lizzo, and this is interviewing people. And she runs around, suck my dick, bud, and, puts the microphone in people's faces and stuff. It's a really funny little skit.
So I think Kathleen Kennedy is a huge fan of Lizzo. You know who Kathleen Kennedy is?
Yeah.
She's in the story group for Lucasfilm. She's making a lot of big, important calls for Star Wars canon that I don't
She's the reason that Star Wars
agree
is
with.
even worse than the prequels. now.
Yeah. I think the Pixar put a microchip in her brain 10 years ago, and she saw a picture of Lizzo, and she was like, black women everywhere, and started just putting black women in everything.
Yeah.
And no black woman asked for that much representation, but they started putting them everywhere. If I was a black woman, I'd be like, stop. This is enough
That's
now.
enough, yeah.
I
Leave me
feel
alone. It's
bad.
Buzz Lightyear and the Black Lady, James Bond and the Black Lady, Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Black Lady. It's like, leave them alone.
I feel bad for the unsung heroes of this. Like, everyone's very concerned about her support staff, but what about her support stage? She's been abusing all of them.
Yeah. What about the structural support of the stage underneath her that's trying to hold all that? So the TMNT movie is out. I was about to go see it. There's a theater.
Speaking of black ladies.
Speaking of being marketed to. Oh yeah, April O'Neil's a black lady now too.
they turned April O'Neil to a black lady. Yeah.
I feel like, males 18 to 36 used to be the target demo for everything because that's who had all the money. But now that was 10 years ago. Now it's males, 46-year-old males.
Mm-hmm.
We still have some money. All the millennials are broke. So we're being marketed to still. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie has the Spider-Man animation. It's got Tribe Called Quest. It looks all cool. It's like they're talking directly to me when I was 9. They're like, don't you love Tribe Called Quest? Don't you love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Come and see this movie.
Not to mention Jackie Chan is in
Yeah, I'm
it.
like, stop looking
Yeah.
at me.
Yeah.
Don't you want to go see Transformers? As G.I. Joe's going to be in the next one. I'm like, you're speaking directly to 12-year-old Josh. Again.
So you mentioned the Star Wars movies. Are y'all both current? Have y'all stuck
I am.
through and you?
No. So
I watch
okay.
it all. He won't.
So, well, I mean, the number one thing is Star Wars hasn't really been good since like 1983. There's been a lot of crap, and that's my big quote is Star Wars jumped the shark with CGI Jabba. Whenever they put that CGI Jabba in the re-release of Star Wars, like that's when you kind of knew how things were going.
It was very controversial at the time too. I remember diehards being like, "It's not the same. We're not watching the remake."
So I have a thing that I post every May the 4th, and it's the prequels were bad. Disney Star Wars is not canon. Release the original unaltered trilogy in 4K. That is the message that I try and spam the internet with every May the 4th.
Set Britney free.
Yeah. And so I will say that what really broke me, like many, many people, was The Last Jedi. Walking out of The Last Jedi just absolutely depressed, like just, what is this, And that was when I was like, you know what, I'm not going to pay for Star Wars anymore. And then the first season of The Mandalorian was pretty good, but there's been it's so bad. There's just so much bad parts of it, so...
They're not doing what I want. I want a Quentin Tarantino movie about Chewbacca with a soundtrack by Primal Scream. And then I can die happy. I'm good. Why? What about you? Are you caught up?
I couldn't take him anymore. I think it was around Solo. I saw it. I was like, you literally just made the same movie all over again, like Lost Your Parents, like the whole.
Well, and the whole like, how do we know? We need to know how he got his name. We need to go how he got his jacket. We need to know how he got his blaster.
Yeah.
We need to know how he got Lando Calrissian's
Dice
friendship.
that hangs
We
in
need
a
to learn
mirror.
how he got the dice. It was like the first 10 minutes of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, but stretched out into an entire movie.
Here's all the trinkets.
Yeah.
It's like Nathan Drake in Uncharted 3 is a whole attic full of all this stuff.
And it wouldn't matter so much if like Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back were not so good. Like at one point, those were some of the best things committed to film, and that's what puts into sharp contrast how bad all the not just the recent stuff, but pretty much everything since then. Starting with the Ewoks, starting with the Star Wars Holiday Special.
I still love all of it. I can't wait to Ahsoka's dick. I'm going to watch all that. I can't wait.
I think it definitely. I mean, it speaks to the whole like things. The whole comedy rule of threes. Like they made 3 pretty really great movies.
Yeah.
Like, stop milking it. I feel like the Ninja Turtles is an exception because that trilogy fizzled out really badly. But I did see the new one, and the animation, I definitely suggest taking an edible or something.
Yeah, hell
before.
yeah.
I saw it in 3D.
Yeah, like you said, it's got that Spider-Verse animation.
Dude, half the time I was just like, this is fucking beautiful. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm also watching a movie, but it was just fucking
I was going to take a long lunch from work, but I can't eat an edible if I do that. I have to leave work early and then try to make my way home from Highland.
Yeah.
High as balls. What about Walking Dead? You watch The Walking Dead?
I bailed when Carl died because I couldn't take anyone more. Carl.
Oh my gosh, Coral.
Did you read the comics?
I did not. I'm not a reader, unfortunately.
I was really pumped that they were going to do like an image cinematic universe after The Walking Dead got so big because I was into Spawn and all that shit in the 90s. Like, fuck yeah.
I like the fear. I liked the way they rolled Fear the Walking Dead out into it and combine. I did think that was a really cool.
So there's 2 new shows now. Negan is in New York with Maggie, and they hate each other. and they're fighting some weird guy from Croatia. And then now Daryl is in Paris, and they think that he's like the savior of humanity or something. They've gone completely off the rails. It's not doesn't have anything to do with comics. They're not. I mean, Kirkman's not even writing Walking Dead comics anymore. He owns Transformers and G.I. Joe comics now.
I feel like Walking Dead was a great study in like how you can take a first season of a show and then immediately fuck it up with the second season.
Well, you know what? You know the story behind that, right?
No, I don't.
So the guy Frank Darabont, the guy who did The Green Mile and The Mist, and he was basically the guy who made all the best Stephen King movies. He was the showrunner. He was the guy who made the first season of The Walking Dead, and then he had all his plans for the second season, and they fired him, and they were like, what you want to do is too expensive. We're going to get rid of you, and we're going to bring somebody else in, and we're going to make a cheaper
We're going to go stand on a road for an entire season and look for a girl that nobody cares
We're
about.
going to go sit on a farm and argue for 6 episodes, and then that's what happened. So did you ever see what his idea for the first episode of the second season was going to be?
No.
So there's in the first episode, there's that part where, or one of the, sometime in the first season, Rick goes into Atlanta and kind of gets surrounded by zombies, and he climbs into that tank, and there's all the soldiers are dead in the tank, but one of them comes to life, and he has to kill that soldier. The entire first episode of the second season was going to be following that guy, that soldier, through the entire outbreak and the fight, and all the way up till the point where he dies in that tank.
The comics did the same thing.
Which is a totally cool idea, but then they fired Darabont, and they turned it into the search for, what was that girl's name? I can't even remember. No, the Sophia. The search for Sophia is what the second season turned into.
The comic had a way better penciler the first 10 episodes, and then he got fired.
Yeah,
they Darabonted him out of there also. And I was like, I was all in on the story by that time. They had gotten me. My favorite thing about The Walking Dead, it was out at the same time as Game of Thrones, and so it was a huge, fun Sunday night. We would save both of those shows and have 2 hours of. But both of those shows' storylines relied heavily on who knows what when. Like, who knows this person's dead? Are they related to them and they haven't found out yet?
Yeah, right.
And in the age of like cell phones and the internet, it was fun to watch. And the medieval scale and
the way that information does not travel.
How important it is that the Raven makes it to the send the message to somebody that somebody's dead.
So like you watch a lot of TV shows or a lot of series. What's your favorite one? Like what do you go back to? You're like, well, this is the best. This is one of the best ones. This is the one I had the best time watching.
Yeah, all time and then right now.
I mean, it sucks that I'm gonna say this, but I just rewatched all of Seinfeld.
Okay.
And then when Curb Your Enthusiasm came out, I don't know if I didn't have enough life experience or whatever, or it was too slow. I
didn't get
couldn't
into
appreciate
it.
And I
a little
just
bit later.
started it. And I'm like 4 seasons in, and the very first episode, the one about how he has like a dick tent on his pants,
where
I
he sits
literally
down,
right before I met my wife, I was dating a girl, and she went and she was like, "Hey, what's going on there?" and pinched. And it was just all fabric.
Yeah.
And I was just like, so for that to start out that way, I was like, oh my God, like it's bad.
I think for Kirby, you do have to like hit a certain age or something. But my argument has always been 90% of the time, Larry is right. The opinion about Curb Your Enthusiasm was, oh, Larry's just an asshole, whatever. No, he's right. 90% of the time, it's the other people that are the assholes, and he's just calling him out on it because he has nothing to lose because he's the rich co-creator of Seinfeld. I love Curb Your Enthusiasm. I don't know. It's at least as good as, it's kind of like Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. I think that Better Call Saul is at least as good, if not better, than Breaking Bad.
I think Better Call Saul had the same problem as Walking Dead, where the second season was just so fucking slow, where it started really strong, and then if you made it through the season 2, you were good after that.
So Better Call Saul is interesting because it is just a character study. It's just like once you realize, you're like, I'm not waiting for some amazing thing to happen. I'm not waiting for this to be Breaking Bad, and you just learn to enjoy the characters and what happens to them and how they evolve and all that. It's real. Like the characters in Better Call Saul, I gotta say, probably deeper and more 3-dimensional than even the characters in Breaking Bad.
Are you still watching Lucky Hank?
I think I finished Lucky Hank. I finished that first season.
Well, that's a character study too, but it's independent of the whole Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
universe.
right. It's
Same
just
dude.
Bob Odenkirk. Yeah.
So my kid, we've been yelling at him. He's 10 years old. His whole life, you got to brush your teeth every day. You got to take a shower every day. There's been huge fights. He like fucking ran away from home one time because he had to take a shower. Last week, his asshole started itching. He was complaining that his asshole itched. We're like, yeah, you don't shower every day. You're 10 now. Your asshole's gonna itch if you don't take a shower. And then he got a toothache the other day, and I was like, yeah, I've been telling you your whole life to brush your teeth. You don't have to argue with us anymore. Now you get to argue with nature.
You have to argue with your body.
You're coming into puberty. And
Did he start brushing his asshole?
He's brushing his asshole and wiping his teeth with toilet paper. So you don't have to argue with us anymore. You can argue with Mother Nature. But he plays a lot of those, free-to-play Fortnite type games. He gets super amped. And as a Democrat, I watch this child get excited, and I'm like, where's the adrenochrome at? Can I stick a Capri Sun straw in his neck and suck some of that and live
Get
forever?
some of that energy. Yeah.
I have to worship Moloch, the devil.
I just started. So I've had a VR headset for maybe like a year and a half.
Yeah, I heard you were talking about the Oculus.
And I do VR comedy. I have a podcast in VR called The Texas 3. It records every other Wednesday. You can go see it live in Horizons. But I just discovered there's a game called Population 1, and it's a really just simple shooter. It just drops you in. You have 2 teammates, you versus like 5 other teams. And it's mostly children on there.
Yeah.
So I feel a little awkward as an adult male, like talking with kids. And I was playing with a 11 and a 13-year-old. And my wife's in the next room, and if you lose health, you re-up drinking sodas and eating fruit. And she heard me just shout out like, "Hey kids, come over here and eat this banana!" And I was just like, "Oh no!" Like if this podcast doesn't get me canceled, definitely fucking with the things I've said in VR to children across the world.
Uncle Jackie Boy has some fruity treats for the children. So is there a Jack Schutze YouTube channel of your own?
I don't have a YouTube. I actually was kind of scared about the reason I started the Driven by God on TikTok is because I have a bunch of religious family members.
Yeah.
And they all follow my Instagram for my comedy and stuff. Yeah. And I was just worried, like, it's not that I have a brother that we used to debate stuff, and then Trump happened, and we had like this like big falling out where it's like, okay, we just can't talk about.
A lot of us left Facebook in 2016.
Yeah, so like,
talk to our friends anymore.
I started this thing on TikTok so that it stays away from my family, specifically. So like, my favorite things I'm doing, I don't even share with my family.
At some point, you're gonna get big enough where it's just gonna happen. I mean, if you keep doing comedy like you're doing, you're booking all these shows, you got a lot going on. You're gonna have to stop worrying about pissing off.
So my actual comedy itself, I mean, I'm a big middle of the road guy. I was raised in Austin, but when Austin was like an accepting place, like I know it's kind of pivoting to this idea. Well, it's still a very accepting place, but it's gotten this moniker of like, oh, it's just a liberal bastion where they just hate anyone different. It's like when I grew up in Austin, everyone just didn't give a fuck what you did as long as you weren't hurting anybody else. Yeah. It's like I come from that mentality, and
it's supposed to be a melting pot, and then people get mad, and you're like, melt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're all different, and if you're not hurting anyone, you're not hurting anyone. And my brothers actually, they were like, if we didn't know you and we heard your comedy, we would assume you're a conservative.
Okay.
Because I don't like Trump's too insane to just shit on Trump. It's not fun. I don't know if you've ever seen a comic come up and try and just shit on Trump.
He's been about to go to jail for 10 years. He's like the roadrunner of the Wile E. Coyote of the justice system.
Yeah,
we're all just watching him get away.
It's like, you mean all of L.A. and New York comedy after 2016? Like, there's like, Trump, right? There's
about to go to jail.
Yeah, there's no It doesn't take any creativity to just make jokes about Trump. Right?
It is nice to see the U.S. versus Trump case becoming an actual thing after all this. He's about to get this, and he's about to happen that.
But it's not. It's not going to happen before the election. If he win, he could potentially win, and it all goes away. That is
if
very much.
If there's anything I've learned is that there are no consequences for him.
He's had a legal team his entire life. He had a legal team when he was 4.
Yeah,
he doesn't give a fuck about the law or getting in trouble or the jail or anything. It's all fake to him. Stuff.
It's also a really good way to get everybody to not talk about the fact that it is 105 degrees. It has been 105 degrees for 2 months. It's going to be 105 degrees for another month. We're not getting any rain.
Yeah.
And what could possibly be the cause behind all that, We're not talking about that. Instead we're arguing about things in trans in school.
Yeah.
We're fractions of the population.
Nobody fucks with the military-industrial illusion of democracy.
Right.
Well, I've had to take a step back. I had a little bit of like Trump derangement syndrome where I was just like, he's doing this, he's doing that. And the deeper I got into it and the more I thought about it, it's like, as you say, it's a distraction, but if more than anything, it's a distraction from like, I have health issues. I have autoimmune issues. I have like psoriatic arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and gout. And I have like the best medicine and the best insurance, and I have to pay so much fucking money.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my brother, who's very conservative, he married a French girl, and while she was pregnant with the child, they were back and forth from France. And he's like, "Oh, we go to France. She goes to her doctor's appointment. They charge us like $20."
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. I know how deeply ingrained you are in this conservatism. Do you at least understand this angle? And he's like, 100% we should have better health care.
Can't they just go to little pieces of Canada too and get health care if it's under France? Quebec?
But France is even better because like Canada, the wait lists are a thing, but it's wait lists for elective surgery. It's like if you have a serious trouble, you're gonna get in.
Can a French person go to Quebec and get French health care? Is it under the French government, or is it just they speak French?
I think
can't
you have
keep
to
it
suck
straight.
off Trudeau,
Okay.
and that'll get
Again?
you whatever you can.
Already been doing
I
that.
think his wife just left him. Or
Him and his wife split up, and then him and a guy went to see the Barbie movie and did his selfies at the Barbie movie. I saw that. That's on all my, because I follow every political side because it's for shit posting and joke purposes. And I saw a lot on the right wing side saying, "Oh my God," about him again going to the Barbie movie. But yeah, it's funny that your brother can admit like, hey, we should have better health care. It shouldn't be. It's nice that it's $20 in France or whatever, and that just gets kind of brushed away for the next like outrage that everybody's algorithms are sending them into their eyeballs every day through their phone. Nothing. Why does no progress ever get made on that? Where some things that we can agree on, right? Things that like a liberal and a conservative can definitely agree on.
Well, we're all in the middle. I think so. The trans angle and the children angle goes back way beyond American politics. If you can point to your opponent and say they want to fuck kids,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
the opponent now spends the next however long they have saying I don't want to fuck children, and then all of a sudden you win the debate. So,
Right.
I mean,
It's
it's
all
a
just
very
a-
old argument.
Yeah, it's
all a
old
big-
tactics. Yeah.
It's a game of gay chicken, but pedo. And they're projecting. It's like the American beauty dad with the Nazi plate. He was mad at that gay guy, and it turned out he was gay.
Yeah.
Because he was so mad. All these Republicans are like, everybody wants to rape my kids. Well, how attractive do you think your child is? Do you think that everyone's coming for that kid? And why are you looking at your kid that way? We got in trouble like that with our church. We had to have an elder meeting because my sister was wearing skirts that were too short. She was underage at the time, and they had a meeting when my dad was an elder. And about a couple of the other elders' sons had a crush on her, and she wouldn't go out with them. And they were driven mad with lust because of the skirts she was wearing to church. So he had to sit in a meeting with a bunch of other old dudes saying, your daughter needs to wear longer dresses to church. And he was
Either
like,
that or
who
she needs to
here
get married."
thinks my daughter's attractive right now? Because I will burn this fucking building to the ground right now.
Did
Stop.
he really call them out like to their face?
He said he got really furious and had to leave the meeting because the argument was who's looking at this 16-year-old girl's legs, in church.
Hey, again, look at things we can agree on. Christians, Muslims, women need to cover up.
Yeah.
We can agree. We can all agree.
Oh, they're filthy.
All right, and on that on that note, we're going to take one more break. We'll be right back. And we're back with Jack.
So you do the gay accent for your driven by God thing, or the Southern gentleman accent, I should say.
The effeminate Southern.
Effeminate
Yeah.
Southerner.
Donnie came up with a really funny bit on one of our first shows we did where I was like, where's the gay accent from? What part of the world? Why do they have an accent? Is it the gay part of France? And Donnie was like, yeah, France. The entirety of France.
The
is
gay region of France is just France.
My friend was waiting tables with named Keith was the American History X dad. He was very angry with gay shit, and we were getting beer for everybody for this party. And I was like, I gotta get Tecate. And he was like, why do you say it like that? Who's it for? And I was like, it's for Gay Jeff. And he was like, don't buy that F-word beer. He ended up blowing Gay Jeff like the next week. It's like all his hatred.
How,
It's like
how
the
old
dark
were
side of
y'all
the force.
when y'all met your first gay person, just like out and about in the wild?
20, probably.
I grew up with one. I had, and it was weird. His
Well,
name-
Dustin doesn't count.
Right, my brother doesn't count. Right? No, I grew up with I had a guy that I went to like from middle school. Everybody knew he was gay, and he got so much shit. Like all the the jock guys, like they would get into fights and all that. And I always liked him. I always thought he was a cool guy. So that's the first gay person that I remember. It's like somebody I grew up with.
I think I was probably there was like a kid when I was really young that they called him like Robert the Kissy Boy. 'Cause
Yeah.
he would literally like kiss other boys. And at the time, no one, when you're that young, you don't. Well, you used to not think about things like that when you're that young. Who knows what they do now?
Yeah.
But I was probably like 20, and I met the first gay person, and I was just like, why is everyone so afraid of this? Like,
Yeah.
these are the coolest people ever.
I always
good
I
guy.
always liked gay
Yeah.
people. I always thought they were cool. I always wanted to be friends with them. I always thought they were funny, interesting.
Yeah, somebody
good
always has a
people.
really cool, nice uncle that's like
Yeah.
way more accepting of everyone else, and it always cooks nice and has better music and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been playing Civilization. Have you ever played that game?
No, I've not.
Okay, it's a world builder, whatever. It's like Risk, kind of, on the console. But there's a religious aspect where you can win by religion, and I've always avoided it. I was like, I don't want to play with religion, but you can win with religion. But you can call it whatever you want. So I got into the religious part because I called my religion butt stuff. And then I started spreading butt stuff to all the other countries. Sent my butt stuff religion missionaries and gurus to other places. And
That's just millennial speak now,
you
bro.
just got
That's
3 ass-eating points for spreading butt stuff to Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, it reminds me of have you ever played the game Plague Inc., where you have to
I have played
engineer a virus? I always called my virus the gay, so it's like the gay has spread to Madagascar. I love doing that.
Horse AIDS.
Yeah,
Do you ever get your dad to laugh? We were talking earlier about how hard it is to get your dad to laugh.
Well, he's dead, so
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna laugh anytime.
Rolling in his grave.
you can imagine him laughing.
When my dad was passing away, I learned a lot about Texans and old school. Just growing up in the United States, because we all had these questions where we were trying to get him to be like, "Hey, what beer did you drink?" or like, "What?" And basically, he laid it out that it just wasn't that complicated back in the day. He was
Yeah.
just like, we drank whatever beer was there.
Yeah, free.
There weren't as many choices, and I feel like the hardest part about being a kid these days is too many choices.
Yeah.
You used to just have like, okay, I'm going to be a fucking plumber, I'm going to be an accountant, or I'm going to be a fucking whatever. And now it's like, well, I could be a YouTube star, or maybe like
It
I
could be
feel
a
like
gay eagle.
I feel like their
you could be a
children
deer.
they're paralyzed with indecision,
Yeah.
just because there's too many options.
It's the internet, right? It's like it's YouTube. It's all the sources of information coming in. There's so many different things. I do remember things being so much simpler whenever I was a kid. But that might also be something that's always happened, right? So our parents probably were like looking back. Well, when I was a kid, things were so much simpler, and their parents were like,
100%.
it's how much of it is the cycle that always has existed, and how much of it is new? Because I will say that introducing the internet to everything, that still makes me think it's different this time. It's different this time. But, maybe in the 1950s, the parents who were watching Elvis swing his hips were like, it's different this time. Maybe they were the same thing.
Someday you're actually going to get that money from Nigeria. Is that what you're saying? It will change. There will.
One of these days.
I think dads don't laugh at sons because they used to make us giggle uncontrollably with like the lowest hanging fruit. Like my
Yeah.
dad could just be like butt toots, and I would cry on the floor when I
Yeah.
was 4 laughing. It was a control thing. So they never want you to be able to make them laugh uncontrollably like that because they were the man that made you laugh.
I've always had the problem where if I like something, my friends immediately don't like it. I have certain friends that immediately, if I say, hey, this band is awesome, they immediately won't like the band.
Yeah, that sucks. That's what you do to me with Star Wars every time there's a new show.
But no,
Check it out, Donnie. That sucks.
Yeah, but if another friend came to me and said, dude, check out Ahsoka. Ahsoka's awesome, and then all of a sudden I was into Ahsoka, that would be a different thing, right?
Yeah.
So I have always had certain friends who I'm like, hey, this band is awesome, and they're like, well, whatever. But then another friend that they think has better taste or cooler says the exact same thing, and then they like it, right? That's the issue I have with my dad laughing at things that I think are funny. Like if I'm the one who's saying, "Hey, this comedian's funny. You should watch this comedian," he won't think it's funny.
Yeah.
But if he finds it on his own, all of a sudden that comedian is hilarious, and we can agree on it.
That's not a good idea because it wasn't my idea.
Yeah, right.
That's a big. I feel like that's like the whole punk rock debate is one of those things where it's like I grew up listening to some punk rock and I also like Blink-182.
Right.
But if you try and square those things together, it becomes like this big fucking debate. And it's
Yeah.
like
Uh-huh.
I can just like Blink-182. It does. I'm not saying that they're fucking the most hardcore punk rock
Yeah,
band
right.
in the entire country. I just enjoy their music.
Yeah,
Right,
I
right.
grew up skateboarding, and I thought rollerbladers were gay, but all the surfers thought I was gay for skateboarding. All the rat Dogtown Z boys were like, "What is this neon colored Bill and Ted's rad stuff?"
I
that
have
you
an
guys are
adult
into?"
friend that he rollerblades,
Nice.
and even my wife calls him a fruit booter, and
Mm-hmm.
I fucking love it. I'm just like, I absolutely love that is still a thing and that still exists.
This freaking a BJ on Righteous Gemstones
Yeah.
was like, "I need to blade."
The blade to focus. So you said on your other podcast I was listening to you on today that you had an old suicide bit that you tried to open with once and you killed the room.
Oh yeah, I mean, so I feel like every comic, every white edgy comic, when they start doing open mics, they all have a suicide joke.
The WECs.
They did.
White
They
Edgy
always have
Comics?
a suicide joke or like a my dick small joke. It's either one or the other, but they're definitely gonna have one of those.
Yeah.
And mine was, "Hi, my name's Jack. I'm hyper self-critical, so I'll either be killing it up here or myself later," and just like sat in it.
Yeah.
And then I had a bunch of tags to it, and then I stopped doing it because I was performing. You guys know this, that like there's a difference between performing before a paying stand-up crowd and open mic crowds
Yeah.
or a bar crowd.
It's
Yeah.
worth every
They're
penny.
not there to hear controversial shit generally.
Yeah.
They're just there to drink a beer, and so I had to back off of it. So I wrote a whole addendum to it where it's like, an older comic came up to me and told me, like, "Don't open your set with suicide. Just let the crowd get to know you, and they'll want you dead too." And just like doubling down on it. And so whenever I'm having like a mic where I'm just not feeling it or I want to throw out, I'll do a whole fucking 3 minutes on suicide and just the darkest shit
Yeah.
that I have out there. And I generally don't. I've learned as a comic not to open with that stuff.
Yeah.
You have to make them like you first and bring you along, and then you can dump some shit like that
Yeah.
on them. But don't.
Don't open with suicide, right?
It's
You
just
know,
too cringy.
Yeah, mine was so it wasn't small. It was dick stuff, but it was what if guys had periods? Because it was I've had girlfriends who are mad that I won't have sex with them when they're on their period, but I'm like, if I had a period, I wouldn't expect you to be putting that in your mouth. And then I went into this whole thing about like, imagine
Bloody
what that
dick
would be like,
blowjobs.
and like
Hell yeah.
like a sixth grade volcano, science experiment with the volcano coming out and all that. And I had a whole thing about that.
Did people like it?
I'm hungry.
Yeah, well, yeah, the delivery was good, and it usually did pretty good. I didn't flop on it except for the times whenever you actually do bomb and nothing works for some reason.
That's the room's fault.
Yeah, it's always the room's
Blame the
fault.
room.
Yeah.
You know Sonny Castillo, Sonny from the O2?
Yes.
You remember his suicide joke?
No.
This is just a quick little Mitch Hedberg-esque. Suicide is never the answer, unless the question is, what's it called when you kill yourself?
That's a good one.
That's great. I got into comedy at first because I had a suicide in my family, and I was sad, and I was like, I need to be happy. Let me go do some laughing things. So I had a bit about I'm Scotch, Irish, Cherokee, Jew, German, so I can walk through the woods and think about killing myself without making a sound. It was Cherokee,
Yeah.
Jewish, German. And then more recently, my kids told me when I was 45 that I was middle-aged. I was like, what does that mean? And they were like, you're halfway to 90. And I was like, I hadn't planned on staying that long here.
90, that's an accomplishment,
I think
man.
I hit middle age at 25. I was not going to be around past 50, but okay, I guess I'll hang around if you guys need me to reach out the shit from the high shelf and unscrew the pickles.
How do y'all feel about, like, I've been not struggling, but definitely like going back and forth on like writing what I want to write versus writing what will work for an audience. Because there's this whole idea that like, okay, if I just commit to what I want to write and push that direction, the audience will come towards me, or I'll find my own audience, versus like writing stuff that's a little bit more well-rounded.
So we're
To
talking about
get to that
speaking our
point.
truth. speaking your truth
Yes.
and living your truth. I just did this on TikTok because everybody has those top 3 things pinned to the top of their page. I don't know if you've done that. You have your 3 favorite things that you want people to see first are pinned to the top of all the videos.
I'm like exclusively posting, and I don't participate in TikTok, so I'm a bad TikToker.
Okay. I'm just getting into it and trying to figure it out. But I noticed other people had 3 videos pinned across the top. So I was like, okay, well, I'll go in and pin my 3 most popular TikToks so more people can see them, because apparently that's what people like. Didn't change anything. So then today I switched them out and took them off and put my 3 favorite bits on the top of TikTok. So, the old Brad Pitt, 3 for them, 1 for me. So, if you want to be an artist and you want to feel like you're expressing yourself and enjoying what you're doing, then you should write for yourself, But if you get a laugh, that's your fucking job. So you should do your job.
Well, that's kind of been part of it, is like I will say my darker stuff makes the comics laugh, but I don't
Back of the
wanna-
room. Yeah.
I definitely don't want to be like an edgelord and just push. Like none of my jokes that address darker material are ever just like blurting it out. They're always trying to come from like a weird angle on it to at least say it's something unique. But I definitely like, everyone's got a school shooter joke. Everyone's got a suicide joke.
Sometimes the laughter from the back of the room will start a wave and get everybody going. I had a bit like that about having a gun, because everybody has guns. Jack, do you have any guns?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Donna, you got guns?
There are guns in this house, but they're not mine.
Okay. I never have them because my house is too small. Like, I don't have a west wing that I need to shoot somebody down the hall. If I see somebody in my house, I'd prefer to kill them with my hands. But I don't want to get the bloodlust, and so I have to do it again and be chasing the dragon. That you watch the life leave the guy's eyes, and you go,
The lights
"Oh,
go
this
out.
is good. I need to do this more."
Have either of y'all? Well, I'll preface this with my scare. So, when I was living right down the street from here, we had a big. Our back doors were just like glass sliding doors, and in the middle of the night, we heard this smash, and it sounded like someone took like a ball peen hammer to our back, like glass door.
Yeah.
And I have guns in the house, but I don't keep them loaded.
Yeah.
And the one that I have that's like most that I would grab quickly, number 1, it's a 22, which ain't gonna do much.
Yeah.
Number 2, it's a revolver. And so I was shaking,
Yeah.
trying to load a fucking revolver. And I finally get out, and what it was that we had a glass of like seashells that the cat had knocked over.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah,
just
yeah.
the sound of it
sounded
was-
specifically.
And I was just like, what the fuck am I? I definitely believe if you're going to have guns, have them loaded in a, like an approximate to your bed.
Yeah.
It made me
you can
realize how
shoot the cat.
silly it was that if someone wanted to
Yeah.
they would have been in my bedroom while I'm fumbling with
Right.
the
Yeah.
fucking
Well,
gun.
that's the old. I don't know if you've seen the Jim Jeffries, where he was kind of going on an a pro gun control thing. He's like, well, first of all, somebody breaks into your house, you've got your gun in a safe, so you're like, hang on a second, let me go get my gun, and going to like to put in the combination and all that. And he had a whole thing about that. Yeah.
fucking house.
Yeah.
very, very real. I love that he admitted years later that he just made up all the statistics in that bit.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, I just kind of just made them up.
Right.
That's what people
Hey,
do.
it made a funny comedy set. That's what you're trying to do.
So speaking of people, home invasion and psychos, we were talking about like, how do you vet these people? Like, everybody's awkward and somewhere on the spectrum these days, and you try to give people the benefit of the doubt. So, you can do the Blade Runner test and see if they're a replicant, if they have emotions, or how they respond, or like the job interview questions, like if you found $1 on the ground, what would you do? Or describe a situation that you resolved, it was a conflict. Or my favorite one is ask somebody to spell the word twisted, and if they use a Z, that means they're a fucking psycho, and get them out of your life immediately. Because we have, everybody's on the spectrum somewhere these days, but there's the light pink side and the light yellow side, and then there's the hot purple, ouch, don't touch that side of people. But everybody disguises themselves so well now. You don't know who's psycho until they're breaking through your back door, breaking your seashells everywhere with your cat.
Yeah, or like
The ball peen hammer.
calling you in the middle of the night, like.
But maybe it'd be good for some of those people to be in prison if they're that autistic. Maybe they like that structure, getting up every day. at a certain
Right,
time.
get institutionalized
Yeah.
like Shawshank Redemption.
I mean, if you have a kid that's like everything has to be a certain way, Justin Shapiro or whatever his name is. I like things to be at a certain time, and I like things to be a certain. Well, you should go to the army or go to jail, probably. That'd be
Something
good
with
for you.
structure, right?
Yeah.
What I'm wondering is like, who are you putting through these tests over here? Like kids that want to date your kids, or like
Yeah.
who you?
Oh, that's coming.
Yeah. No, kids that date my kids I'm gonna have Donnie over, and we're gonna do the Bad Boys too, and talk in the doorway, and wave guns around, and talk about going back to jail.
Yeah.
I'm not
You
scared.
ever
of
been
going
with a
back-
man? Would you like to?
You want to?
No. So his Josh's daughter has a boy that she's hanging out with, and so they go on walks in the middle of the day. Well, they were before it was 105 degrees. And so I was upstairs and I was working, and my office has a window that looks out on the street over here, and I see Josh's daughter and this boy walk by down the street because they were going on their little walk. And so I took a picture of it and sent it to Josh, and he was like, "Yeah, we got eyes. We like
Takes a village.
They know that no matter where you go, he's got people posted up watching you. You know."
Donnie's in his ivory tower surveilling.
Yeah.
So do you still fuck with your guitars at all?
I do occasionally. I treat music as like a almost like therapy.
Yeah, same.
I used to play a lot of it, and I hit writer's block at a certain point, and so I kind of put everything away, and I was like, I'm gonna live life, and then I'll return to the guitar, and then I returned to the guitar, and it was like, I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
I have nothing. I wrote so many songs from like 16 to 24 that I have over 30, 40 songs that I like, and I never performed them. And so what I've been doing lately is I'll do a variety open mic at my wife's family built a brewery called Rough House.
Mm-hmm.
And because they own it, they'll let me do whatever I want as long as it's going to bring people in.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm playing these songs that I wrote 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because I never played them, and like I was now also being married, there's no expectations. I'm not nervous. I'm not.
You're not trying to get pussy.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, the girl's gonna like this song.
It
Yeah.
just changed everything. I'm just like, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
what's the worst? Especially, well, also trying to do comedy and bombing will humble you more than
Yeah,
anything.
right.
So it's like, I'm not afraid to go up there and have people not listen to me. The worst is going to happen is they'll talk over me. So like,
Yeah.
I've been playing music in that context where it's like on my terms for fun and really enjoying it. And
So what are you working on right now? You got any new premises or shit that you're writing or excited about? I don't want you to
new
burn anything.
premises. No, I'm not afraid of sharing material. I'm not a proponent of protecting stuff. Like, I've heard about the whole idea of like whoever gets famous first on it. Like,
Yeah.
If someone takes my jokes and they go get famous on it, then that's a problem with me. That's not a fucking.
Yeah.
That's not a. Interesting premises. I had one about like driving Uber, and like my favorite and least favorite customers, and one of them was about like my most favorite customers being white trash dudes.
Yeah.
Because they're like so fucking honest, but they say the dumbest shit.
Yeah.
And like, I literally was driving a guy to work, and some of the the best jokes come from real life. This kid was just, it was 5 o'clock, blazing sun outside, and he was just like, "Man, it sure is bright outside, but when I get off work at 11 p.m., it's dark." And it's just like, God damn, that is like the dumbest fucking thing.
It's like
but
the
I
most
fucking-
banal observation.
Yeah, but I loved it because he said it with fucking passion,
Yeah.
man. He said it with absolute passion.
Like a child.
And then I expounded on the idea of like how when you're driving Uber, people trauma dump on you because they know you're trapped in the car with, or I don't know why they do it. My theory is that they know they're trapped in the car with you.
The wedding singer. I have a microphone and you don't, so you will listen to every goddamn thing I have to say.
Dude, and they do. Like, I had a lady get in the car. This isn't part of the bit or anything. This just happened a couple days ago. And I picked her up from a gym. And I'm just, doing my thing. And she's like, "How are you today?" And there's a way with people ask, "How are you today?" where they want you to ask back.
Yeah.
Right, you can
Versus
tell.
actually caring.
Right.
The
I'm like,
reciprocal.
"Oh, okay, I'm great. How are you?" And she's like, "I don't know. I just started working out. And I'm not sure if it's for me or for other people. Do you think I hate myself?" I was just like, it was that fast.
Yeah.
Like 6 seconds into the conversation, "Do you think I hate myself?" And
If
I'm
you're
just like,
asking,
"I don't know."
then yes.
And so my idea was that like I create, like, there's Uber XL, Uber Black. I create an Uber Feels
Nice.
where I
Yeah.
show up and I ask you about your childhood, validate your experience, and then end each ride with like a tissue and a hug.
Yeah. And Uber therapy.
Uber
right?
slash
They're Uber
BetterHelp.
therapists.
Yes.
You can mix the two apps
Yeah.
together.
But I've been working on that. I've tried it a couple different ways. It's not working as well as I'd like to do it on stage, but it's one of those things where the way I wrote it the first time, I like it, and I'm like, fuck, I need to workshop it, and I just fucking, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna fucking, I like it the way it is, like, I'm just gonna fucking do it.
Yeah. You were also talking about something on one of your podcasts about a narcolepsy person that you were telling stories about waking up in the wrong place. And I can't remember what it was, the Hangover podcast.
So there's been a couple different ones. I know one time at least. I don't know if you guys have ever blacked out and then woken up in an unfamiliar place.
Yeah.
Like, where you just like come to. One time it happened when I was in college at Texas State, and I don't obviously know how. I don't know how it happened, but blackout at like 11:30 at night. Whatever time I come to. Completely pitch black.
You wake up in darkness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Complete black darkness. And like all the rooms in my apartment had windows, and I had no idea where it was. And it took me like about 6 minutes to like figure it out. And I was just in the I was in the bathroom that was like right in the middle of the fucking, just right in the middle of the thing.
The hurricane shelter part of the house.
What am I doing here? Like my roommate's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Like what the
I always mix up narcolepsy with kleptomania. I don't get them straight. But if you had both of those, you could wake up in jail. If you stole something and then passed out, then it's over. I had a bad one when I woke up at home, and I was like, I had a bunch of friends get DUIs, and I never got one. I was lucky. Thereby, for the grace of God, go I. But this is how I learned my lesson and quit drinking and driving. I woke up at home. I was like, oh, cool, I'm at home. I guess I should probably go downtown and get my car. And I went out front. And guess what was in the driveway?
Your car was there. Oh God!
I'm like,
That's
well,
a scary
sweet.
thought.
I don't have to go get my car, but fuck, I don't remember driving that thing home at all.
Yeah.
I did. This is kind of the reverse of that. I was in lockup for possession of marijuana when I was 22, and in Hayes County they kept you overnight just because they're fucking assholes. And while I was there, I was watching people come into the drunk tank, like that had got arrested,
Caught a charge on some
and
bullshit.
watching them sober up throughout the night.
Oh yeah.
And like, dude came in, fuck y'all, blah blah. What's wrong with my hand? Fuck y'all. And he had his hand all like taped up, and then like as the night progressed, he slowly started sobering up, and we all learned that he was at this bar that's right on the river, and he had gotten into an argument with someone, and he went to slam his glass down, and when he did, it shattered into his own hand.
Ugh.
And it went from like, fuck all you all, I'm gonna beat these charges, to like 2.5 later, he was just like,
I'm sorry.
man, I fucked up. I was like, that's the reverse of a blackout. Like he went from having fun to like reality fucking
The
set
whiteout.
in.
He had a whiteout.
I've done the situation where I'm sitting in the drunk tank, and I'm jealous of the people that are in there on a PI because I'm in there for a DUI. I'm like, oh, you're gonna get off easy. I gotta pay $5,000 to a lawyer now. You know? Anyway, so yeah, we're up at hour 36. So
Shut it down.
This is the first Joe Rogan-esque 4-hour thing
Yeah.
we've done with.
I know. So, but we got to
Glad
do
to have
plugs now. So, what are your ats and what are your
So
socials?
you're running 30 different shows?
Yeah, I'm done with so much fucking bullshit comedy. It's a lot of fun. I have shows in Buda, Nate's Big Dog Comedy every other Monday. I got a show at Rough House Brewing second Thursday of the month. I got a podcast in VR on Horizons World called the Texas 3 Podcast. My TikTok is Driven by God. It's basically an East Texas effeminate man that's pointing out the hypocrisies in
With
Christianity.
a French accent?
And then my stand-up, just Jack Shootsy. Look me up. It's a lot of fun. I'm doing shows all over Central Texas. So good times.
All right. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you.
Yeah.